The way you cook Korean short ribs is more important than you think. Korean short ribs, or LA Galbi, is one of the best and easiest things you can make at home, and it uses the genius method of tenderizing meat with a kiwi. But I discovered another method that does a better job at tenderizing the meat, which is sous vide. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to make Korean short ribs, and I'll teach you how to make a marinade from scratch, as well as how to make an amazing pan sauce. And together, we'll find out which version's better, sous vide or pan fried. So follow along and let's get to cooking. Okay, so we're making some Korean LA Galbi or Kalbi. I'm not fully sure the difference between the two of them. Either way, we're gonna start this off with some short rib that's been cut Flanken style. It sounds like Franken, but it's not. Most grocery stores should be selling this kind of cut pretty easily, and what we're gonna first do is salt it, which we're gonna lay it down on a sheet tray and then sprinkle salt generously on both sides of our short rib. This is my preferred method of salting meat, and we're gonna leave it alone for 20 minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna get to work on our marinade, and you're gonna need a blender. In that blender, we're gonna throw in 200 grams of yellow onion, which is about half a yellow onion or one really small yellow onion that I got here. And to prep the onion, we're gonna cut off the tip, followed by splitting it in half and peeling off the outside layer. Cut the root of it off as well, and then dice it into a rough chunk, and that's it. From there, we're gonna throw in 70 grams or half a pear. You can use an Asian pear if you can find it, or you could use this Bosc pear, which is easier to find at grocery stores. To prep this pear, we're gonna first peel the skin using a peeler, and then with our knife, we're gonna cut not down the middle, but a little bit off to the side to avoid the core and cut straight down. If your knife gets caught, that means you hit the core, just pull it out and then cut a little bit less. I'm also gonna very roughly dice it, and that's it. Next, we're gonna throw in 150 grams or one Fuji apple, and to prep it, similar to the pear, I'm gonna peel the outside layer and then cut straight down along it just next to the core. I'll then give it a rough chop, and that's it. Up next is 85 grams or one whole kiwi. To prep our kiwi, which is the most important ingredient because it's what's going to tenderize the meat while it marinates, we're going to first peel it with a knife. Using the peeler won't work as well here, and the knife is honestly easier and much more efficient. Just take your time with it and just slowly peel off the outside layer. From there, you're gonna cut off the tip and the root, followed by splitting it in half and then cutting it in half once more and give it a rough chopping. And for our last bit of chopping, we're gonna grab 40 grams or one bunch worth of green onions, and we're only using the white bulbs here. Now to prep the green onions, all I did is cut the greens off from the whites and whitish green parts, and then I cut the roots off as well and gave it a very rough chopping, and that's it. Now from here, we're gonna throw in 6 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons or 14 grams of ginger, 1 cup or 250 grams of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons or 50 grams of mirin, 3 tablespoons or 30 grams of sesame oil, and half a cup or 90 grams of brown sugar. Throw a lid on that bad boy and then give it a solid blending until everything's broken down and nicely combined. You should blend it anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes. You really want to break it down as much as possible. Now, when you crack this sucker open, you're gonna get hit with a ton of aromas and flavors. Feel free to give it a taste, and be warned, it does pack a nice punch of flavor. Now, I'm gonna move our marinade to the side, and I'm gonna now grab our short ribs. And as you can see, they've absorbed a lot of the salt, and they've pulled up some of the moisture on the outside of our short rib. From here, I'm gonna grab a paper towel and then just wipe off any of that excess moisture and salt on the outside of our short ribs. I'm gonna next throw them in a large Ziploc bag and then pour in enough of our marinade just to cover it. And I'm also gonna save about a cup's worth of the marinade so we could turn it into an amazing sauce later on. But from here, you should have 2 bags of short ribs that are marinating, and we're gonna marinate them overnight. One of our bags we're gonna throw straight in the fridge, and then the next day day, we're gonna cook it in a pan, whereas the other bag, we're gonna actually sous vide it overnight. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is get all of the air out of the bag, which we typically would use a vacuum sealer for, but the vacuum sealer I have can't vacuum seal bags with this much liquid in them. So instead, we're gonna use the water displacement method. Grab yourself a large bowl filled with water and then open your Ziploc bag and submerge the other side of it into the water and let the water itself squeeze all the air out of your Ziploc bag. Once the whole bag's submerged, except for the Ziploc portion that's open, you're gonna close it shut, and now your bag should be airtight and ready to throw into a sous vide. Which I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna toss it into a sous vide and then set the temperature to 135 degrees for 12 hours. And if you're liking this video so far, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button. It helps this small but mighty channel in so many ways than you realize. I also wanted to quickly mention that the recipe itself was inspired by Life by Mike G's recipe, as well as Chef Billy's recipe as well. So if you guys want to check out their videos, I'll link it down below as well. The next day, I'm gonna pull the short ribs that have been sous videing overnight, and as you can see, it's looking a little different. You can tell the juices from the short rib is rendered out and mixed in with the marinade as well. I'm also gonna grab the short ribs that have been marinating in the fridge overnight, and you can see that they look pretty much the same, but that marinade has penetrated into the meat for sure. Now I'm gonna grab a sheet pan and grab 2 of our refrigerated overnight marinated short ribs and lay them down on the sheet pan. And I'm gonna grab 2 of our sous vide short ribs and lay them down on the sheet pan as well. And just so you know, if you give the sous vide bag a whiff when you crack it open, the smell's gonna blow your mind. Now I'm gonna grab a paper towel and dab off any excess moisture, which there's a lot of it. We're gonna be searing them soon, and that excess moisture prevents proper browning. Now, once your short ribs are nice and dry, I'm gonna grab that reserved liquid that we saved earlier and start to strain it out. We're gonna wanna remove any of those fibrous solids that are still in there because we wanna turn it into a smooth, delicious pan sauce later. Any type of strainer could work here, and you could see here all of those fibrous pulps, I guess, that are left over. And here is that strained liquid that we're gonna use as the base of our pan sauce. Now I'm gonna grab a large pan and set it to high heat, and we're gonna now sear our short ribs. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of high smoke oil. I'm using avocado, and I'm using enough just to cover the bottom of the pan. And once it starts to smoke a little bit, I'm gonna lay down our sous vide short ribs. Now I'm gonna sear them for about 45 seconds to 1 minute on each side. Because of all the fruits and other stuff we put in the marinade, there's a lot of sugar in it. And because of that, it's very easy for this to brown when searing it. You can see here with just only a minute, I fully charred one side. So just be careful and aware that it browns very, very easily. Also, these guys are already fully cooked because of the sous vide. So all you need to do is sear both sides and you're done. For our short ribs that have been marinating in the fridge overnight, we're gonna cook them slightly different than the sous vide version. Instead of hitting it with high heat, I'm gonna switch it to medium heat. And I'm gonna be flipping it about every minute. Remember, these short ribs are still raw on the inside, so we need to cook it fully, but we also wanna make sure we're not browning it too much on the outside. Once I start getting closer to the desired internal temp I want, I'm gonna then bring up the heat and give it a proper 30-second sear. Okay, I'll admit, the searing work on this is worse than the sous vide one. Just forget what I just said. Put it on high heat, sear it for a minute, flip it, sear it for a minute, flip it. Keep doing that until you get the internal temperature you want. I overcomplicated things. That's my bad. I'm also learning here too, fun fact. Now the last thing we're gonna be making is this quick flavor bomb of a glaze. And this one, I did not screw up. In a pan, we're gonna pour in about a cup's worth of that saved extra marinade we set aside earlier. And yes, my pan is way too hot, it's okay. I'm gonna then pour in about half a cup to 1 cup's worth of a good chicken stock or beef stock. And now we're gonna set our pan to high heat and begin reducing the liquid until we get to the consistency we want. The consistency I personally want is to see when I swipe down the middle of the sauce, there's a nice little cavity open there and there's no sauce closing it in. From here, we're gonna cut the heat and throw in 1.5 tablespoons of cold butter. I'm gonna mix it the whole time while it's melting into the sauce, and then once it's fully incorporated in the sauce, you're done. Give it a taste to see and prepare to be mind blown at how good this is. Oh my God, that's crazy good. Now let's slice up our short ribs. I'm gonna cut them in between the bones because how you typically eat them is you grab the bones and you bite around them. Now, if you can see, the sous vide short ribs are cooked, I would say, perfectly. Now, for our just pan-seared short ribs, you can see the cook on them is actually still pretty good. I thought I completely botched them, but I didn't. They have a nice little pinkness to them. There is a gray band around them, but that's typical whenever you're cooking out of a pan. Now, to plate these suckers, I'm gonna grab a bowl with rice, and then I'm gonna lay down all of my short ribs on top of them. I'm then gonna give it a nice little brush with our glaze we made. Now, our short ribs should have a nice shine to them, and I'm gonna finish them off with a little bit of the green onions we had left over from earlier, as well as some sesame seeds, and you're done. You have a beautiful Korean short rib LA Galbi or Kalbi meal that has a glaze that's gonna blow your mind, and the short ribs are cooked to perfection and fully marinated and salted properly. Now let's see which version of the short ribs taste better. Okay, so I tried both of them, and I gotta say, flavor-wise, they taste exactly the same, which makes sense. We marinated them the same and we salted them the same. Texture-wise, I'd say the sous vide version is a little better than the regular pan-fried version. They both have amazing texture, but the sous vide version just melts a lot of that stringy fat, which makes it a lot easier to bite into. Either way, I highly recommend you guys give this recipe a shot because it's honestly pretty simple. You're just blending a marinade, marinating it, and then cooking it, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm recommending another video right here for you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day.